Hello, thanks for listening. Before we start, can I please ask a huge favour if you haven't already done so? Can you please hit that subscribe button? It grows the show more than I can do justice. And with a bigger show, we get a larger platform, which, as you have seen, can then attract bigger and better guests. And we can produce more invaluable content for you all to enjoy. It literally takes 2 seconds, is completely free of charge to do, and enhances our profile massively. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the HodgeCast podcast. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button, and if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so we can keep knocking it out the park with these guests. Today being a classic example of that, as we're joined by Safiyya Vorajee, businesswoman, best-selling author, charity co-founder, and of course, mother to an angel. Thanks for coming on the show, Saf.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Really early start, so I'm happy for that. And thanks for the iced latte, it's my fave.
You know, we always go above and beyond for our guests. Before we kind of divulge into this, for the past couple of weeks or so, I've been reading your book. Admittedly, I probably don't read as much as I should, but I try and get, particularly if I know a guest coming on, I try and do my research. And it became I was reading a chapter that a day, and it became to the point where I was excited, looking forward to reading it, because it really was such a, obviously, yes, a very heartbreaking read, but a powerful one as well. I just thought I'd ask you, obviously, we'll give a little plug to the book, first of all. Where can, I mean, I got this from Amazon. I don't know if that's the right store. Where can people, I'll probably give you to...
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to have something that's going to touch your heart and inspire you to gather strength and to be able to have something to relate to, then Loving and Losing You, Azaylia, is available on Amazon and just online, really. Yeah, it's just Google it, it pops up. There you go, have it.
So anywhere where good books are sold. We'll put all links anyway in the description of this podcast. Okay, Saf, so what we do with all our guests, given the catalyst of this show, it was centred around my own lived experiences, challenges, and each guest we have on generally has a challenge that they've overcome, whatever that may be. Obviously, you've overcome plenty in your life. So I'll ask the penultimate question. What does challenge mean to you?
It's a really interesting one because a challenge can be such a broad question in what it is. For me, a challenge is something that I've faced all my life. A challenge is something that I love to hold by the horns and catapult through. There's never any challenge that's too high for me to ever go and tackle. And I feel like through all my experiences in life that, you know, I love a challenge. When I see a challenge, no matter whether it's a good or a bad challenge, I'm a problem solver. So I don't ever look for excuses. I look for solutions.
Well, that's awesome. You've answered that perfectly. And the reason we ask those questions is hopefully as the interview goes on, people will listen and be able to think back to what you said at the start with your answer. And no, she's right. She's hit the nail on the head. So I suppose we'll lay the foundations. I'm sure most people know who you are who are listening to this, but they maybe don't know sort of like your origin, if you will. So do you want to just tell us, where did you grow up? What was it like growing up? What was your hobbies, interests, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so for me, I grew up in a small little town called Nuneaton with my mum and my dad and my brother. They split up when I was younger. So my mum was a single parent raising her 2 children. We had to do paper rounds and help our mum out and, you know, like really pull together as a family to keep the sky on. And, you know, watching my mum as a woman really dig in. Like at one point she had 4 jobs and she's really like inspired me to, you know, she's learnt us how to dig in and take life by the horns. I think that's what it is. But yeah, I enjoyed my childhood. My childhood wasn't a bougie childhood. I was from a council area. So I grew up with going out on the streets, playing Kirby, playing Tig, Knock-a-Door Run, and all of the fun things as a kid, really. So although we didn't have a lot, we made the most out of like the best situations, and I would never replace childhood
that's
memories, especially in this day and age when it's just all mobile phones.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned Tick and Kirby, and obviously it was coming back to me playing that as well. So, yeah.
I was mischievous though. Like I was. Do you know what it is for me? I was a really, really sweet, innocent young girl, and then I feel like life happens. You know, parents end up splitting up. You don't understand the feelings and emotions that you're probably going through as a child. Your parents, you know, my mom did the best that she could do, and it ends up sculpting you into a person where I ended up being a bit loud in school, answering back, do you know, not understanding, just childhood behaviour. I was mischievous, just always wanting to play jokes and be a naughty little girl.
So do you have I still don't know what I want to do in life kind of thing, hopefully a successful podcast, but did you kind of have any ambitions of what you wanted to grow up to be when you was older, when you was young, or
It was really interesting because when I was young, I wanted to be a actress and a singer. I think every girl at my age when I was younger wanted to be in a girl band. I mean, I was in year 6 doing a performance to All Saints Never Ever, you know, thinking I'm going to make it into a girl band one day. So that was something that I loved. I used to do like arts and performance, and, you know, I wanted to be on Coronation Street. My granddad is from Manchester. So it was just something that I just wanted him to be proud of me for.
Oh no, that's good. So when you sort of left school, because I'm sorry if I'm going to sort of butcher this because it's not my area of expertise whatsoever, but aesthetics, you kind of got involved in that.
Aesthetics,
so, is that right?
Yeah,
so for people who like myself aren't familiar with that, so describe what that is, tell us what that was and your role sort of thing.
Yeah, so like my background is medical, so I was a dental nurse for a very long time. And for me, I ended up going into dental nursing because I left school and I actually went into hairdressing initially. So I did a few years in hairdressing, got my qualifications, wanted a really nice sporty car when I got my car, couldn't afford it. I was on like apprentice wage at like £40 a week. And then I ended up just getting like a salary, but it just wasn't meeting the cars and my expectations. And then that's when I think my eyes started opening to how much life really does cost. So then I ended up leaving hairdressing and I I went to the job centre. My mum was very strict with me, which I really appreciate. And I think that's why I'm so driven now is if I didn't have a job, I would have to be out that house when she went to work in the morning looking for a job. And I'm only allowed to come back when she finishes work. That gave me a good kick up the backside. And I went to the job centre one day and I was scrolling through and I thought, I seen dental nurse pop up. I thought, yeah, I could do a bit of that. And to be honest, I was actually just looking at the salary. And then I read the description. So I was scrolling through and then I thought, okay, that was going to be able to get me to pay for my car that I want. So then I went and applied for the job as an apprentice, did all of my dental nursing, went in, had legislations all changed. So you had to go and do like all your NVQs and everything. And then went into private dentistry, and in private dentistry, there was like aesthetics in private dentistry. And I knew when I seen that all happening, that was the path that I really wanted to take. Fast forward in time, I went and did all of my qualifications. I got all of that with Cosmetic Couture in Manchester. And they've really helped elevate my skills and develop me to a point where I was just ready to take on the aesthetic industry, which is all your Botox, your fillers and all of that jazz, really.
No, it's good. And like you said, it seems to me that you was very money driven, because obviously you mentioned there that you was money driven in a sense because you wanted to be able to afford all these things.
I agree. And, later on through the conversation, you'll understand the shift in energy towards that as well. I think when you're from an area and, I was brought up in a council area, there was nothing that I had that was, like back in the day, you used to have your jumper from your brother and somebody's hand-me-downs. Like, that's how it used to be, right? Well, I mean, for me anyway. And there was nothing wrong with that. Like, there really wasn't nothing wrong with that. But I think that when I started to see what was actually out there, do you know when you start growing up a little and you think, oh, I like that, you start getting that understanding of, I like that. I remember my mum used to give me pocket money, and I mean, like, we'd get a £5 and I'd go to the markets in like the town on a Saturday. I'd go and get them pedal pushers and bright orange pedal pushers, or the green ones or purple ones. I used to go and spend like £2 on the pedal pushers. Then I'd spend £1 on a liquid liner to learn how to do makeup. So from a really young age, I was really into wanting to make myself look better. I started noticing that what other people were doing, and I think you get that innocence from being a child to then actually understanding, oh, the more affluent side of life, and you think, oh, I like that. Then my taste just got more and more like I wanted to crave it. And another thing, I felt like wealth gave you validation to who you are as a person, and I felt like by earning more and having a better job gave me more validation, and people would listen to me more and take me more serious. So I actually seen, society and how they was treating people. And I felt like I wanted to grow to be a better person, to, make myself proud and be validated by people.
No, that's a really good outlook to have on it. Going back to sort of the aesthetics, did that kind of put you in circles where you sort of, did you do many media appearances sort of like prior to meeting Ashley, or talk us through that kind of stage?
So I was always out there. I used to do like different things, like for Sky Sports and boxing, and like do ring girls. I've never spoke about that either. Like, it's never actually been asked of me. So yeah, I used to do bits and bobs like that. That was just, again, getting out there, networking, meeting people. I liked glamorous. I liked glam stuff. And it was at the same time I was always doing, my work as well. And I just got into circles from such a young age. Like, my friends were all really driven as well. So some of them were in like the modelling industry. And yeah, when you've got friends and you've all a network together, you start hanging out together, you go to clubs, you're in these kind of circles. And so from like really, really young, I've always been in circles that are, people are doing bits and bobs here and there and everywhere, really. We just have mutual friends, and yeah. Yeah,
no, because I was just curious on that one. That's not something I provisionally was going to ask you, but yeah, no, so you answered that, so yeah.
I was like behind the scenes. I was like BTS girl.
The BTS girl. So obviously we touched on the mixing the circles, because you'd known Ashley for quite a while, hadn't you, reading your book before you actually became an item. So do you want to talk us through kind of just obviously how you knew Ashley, at what age, and then obviously eventually getting together?
Yeah, so me and Ashley had a friendship, and I think it was really funny. Can you remember BlackBerry days when you used to have your BB pins? Yeah. And I remember my status. We like knew of each other for. We share mutual friends again, and he's a couple of years younger than me, so I was older. And one day he'd messaged me on my BlackBerry because he's seen that I was in the ball ring in Birmingham and I was at Krispy Kreme's, and he sent me a message to say, can you get us a box, because you couldn't get them anywhere at that time. It was just literally in Selfridges at Krispy Kreme's. So I went and took him a box of donuts, and then it was always like friendship, real casual friendship like that. Like, I'm that person as well. So even I will bring you I'll bring you food. I'm a feeder, so I never look at anything anyway. And over the years, always just, again, looked at him as a friend. Never thought, oh, I want to be with you or whatever. And growing up and being in the same area, you just come across each other all the time. I had a hair and tanning shop as well in our area. So he'd come in and he'd have a few little treatments, get his brows done. And then we share mutual friends. So the girls and the guys would get together, we'd go for shisha, we'd go for food. And yeah, we just I came out of a domestic relationship as well. So it was really nice for me to actually get out and, be socialising again after going through so much there. And, he was just really cool. And it was actually really funny because we never in a million years would I have ever thought that we would have been together. Like never. Do you know when you think, when you both friend zone each other that much, but you're actually really cool with each other? That's how it were. Yeah.
And obviously the book obviously goes into more detail of how you eventually got together. So what was the when did you kind of notice that this friend zone was transitioning to, oh, there's something a bit serious here kind of thing?
Yeah, so in the group chat we had like all the girls and the guys, and when somebody just drops something in the group chat like, hey, does anybody want to go shisha, or does anybody want to go and get food? You expect a few people to be like, yeah, I'm coming, or I'm busy. So it's like and there was like a good 12 people, I think, in this group chat. And it was one day, it was like, anyone want to go to the cinema? And I was just like, yeah, I'll come. Nobody else in the group chat. I swear that they all got prepped before that chat. And I ended up going to the cinema, and I messaged him, and I was just like, you know that we're going as friends, to the point where I actually went in trainers and a twin set tracksuit, which like I would never do if it was a date. If I was on a date, it'd be heels, jeans, looking cute. This one was just there. And it was when we pulled up on my mum's driveway, because I was at my mum's house then. I got out of the car really fast and went to my mum's house, because I thought, I think he might kiss me. I thought, shit, he might kiss me. So I got out of the car, I was like, oh, thank you, I'll catch you later. And then went out. And then at that point, I thought, I can feel the energy. There's something. Yeah. And then he started coming to my shop and hanging out a bit more. And yeah, it was just, the energy was just shifting.
Yeah, it developed. How long was it you was with Ashley before you obviously became pregnant with Azaylia?
So it was a couple of years. I mean, listen, it's usually the woman that's knocking on the door to the guy and saying, hey, like, can we have a child together? And for me and Ashley, it was the other way around. For me, I've always kind of been on the fence, just because my dad wasn't present through my life. I was gifted a stepdad. It's been incredible. But for me, I've just always been like really reserved to who I would want my child's father to be, just because I'd want to bring my child into an environment that's loving, that's home, comes back from school, feels the love and not the separation. So I think I've always been on the fence about that, just through my own experiences. So, certain things had to change. You got to start growing up, and actually, for me, I like to see a visual change. I'm not just a words person. Like, actions for me speak louder than words. So I'm like, okay, this needs to change. These are the boundaries that I had at that particular time. And it's like, okay, like, I'm not telling you have to, but this is what I would need in place. And, he was amazing. Like, he really listened. We used to have like so many conversations about it, and we both sat there and we was like really, really serious about it, to the point where you're on these like probiotic vitamins. I think I can't even remember now. It was a good few years ago. All the vitamins, everything, like the lifestyle change, even me drinking so much coffee, it just everything, to get to a point where we're like, okay, we're trying and we're serious, and we didn't even tell anybody. Okay. We didn't even tell anybody. And for me, not like telling anybody was like a big deal, because I wanted it to be, they're not going to expect it from me. So it's going to be like so magical and so beautiful that they're going to be like, oh my God. And everybody loved me and Ashley together. Like everybody, like our families, we'd be so family orientated together, we'd always be at his family, he'd be at my family's, and it was beautiful. Like everybody just loved us together. We were the vibe in everybody's house.
I can imagine, because you give off that energy. You just sat with me now. So obviously, when you find out you're pregnant, I mean, I know it's a bit of an obvious question and answer, but I want to hear it from direct how you was feeling. What was the first thought process? How was that for you?
It was wild, because I was actually working and tired and fatigued. And then Ashley said to me, well, we kept trying and we just couldn't get pregnant. So it was just like, irritating. Anyway, I was just tired and fatigued. And I remember just coming home and he was like, I think you should take a pregnancy test. This is how it came out. And I was just like, no, because you know when it's not been happening for ages and ages? And then it was like, okay, let's go and do it. So we're both like really excited. We just used to roll everywhere together. And it was like, we'd jump in the car, we'd have music on, we'd drive to the co-op, which was just like round the corner from us. Got a pregnancy test, and it's the guy behind the counter knew Ashley from social media. So it was like, do you know when you want to buy a pregnancy test and you want to be like undercover?
Low-key, yeah.
It was just like, that weren't happening. So got back, did that, and I just did it thinking, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Like, Ash, you're just literally making me do a madness right now. So I just left it on the side. I just thought, oh, I'll leave it on the side. I thought, I was adamant that I wasn't. And then he asked, can I go and have a look at it? Because I'd left it in the bathroom. And listen, if I thought I was pregnant, I want to be the first one to look. And he literally came out the bathroom and he was like, Saf! He was like, it's positive. And I actually didn't believe him, to the point where it was just like, we was that much in disbelief that we ended up going to like the 24-hour Tesco to go and buy another one to really make sure. But he was drinking and celebrating, and obviously I couldn't have a drink. But literally we had the music on for like ages. We was just full on vibing in the house. We was just like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. Going to be like this and you're going to be like that. So it was really, really, really cool.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So obviously fast forward a bit now, unless there's anything you want to describe during pregnancy. Fast forward the birth of Azaylia. Obviously,
pregnancy, one thing actually.
Oh yeah, go on.
I will say with pregnancy, for me, I was scared. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be carrying another human inside me. Like, it feels strange, like that strange feeling. And it was like the moving, and it was like, I describe it as like popcorn, like popping in your stomach when a baby moves inside your tummy. Like, so experiencing all of that for the first time, it was like, wow. And then every time Azaylia was literally like giving digs everywhere. Like, I know she's a fighter from like the moment she was in my stomach, because it was like elbows, even to the point where I was like, oh, nah, this is just weird. I was actually really like, whoa, by it all. I can't lie. I was grabbing Ashley's hand. I was like, oh my God, feel that. And to that point where it's actually like so surreal but so beautiful at the same time. And I just think that it's a full journey. And, you know, for me, I was prepping myself as well, you know, like covering myself in bio oil. You know, there's so many things out there that go through a woman's mind. And even if she doesn't speak it verbally, there's loads going through her head. And, you know, like for me, I was like prepping the skin. I was exfoliating twice a day. So like morning and night. And like covering my body in bio oils, you know, just because, you know, all of them dreaded stretch marks and all them kind of things. And then in your head, you're like, oh my God, my body's going to change forever. But you're carrying the most beautiful baby. But you know one thing, Azaylia never gave me one stretch mark, and she absolutely took care of me. So I was just like, it's just crazy, because you've gone through all of that, and you want to always be, you know, feeling still okay in yourself. You know, as a mother, it's difficult, and, you know, having that body confidence after. Listen, if I got absolutely annihilated with stretch marks, there would be marks that I would just wear with pride forever. So they're just beautiful things.
Yeah, well, like you said, at the time, you had all sorts of thoughts.
It was just crazy, and like obviously, like not experiencing hormones, seeing people, and also like the pressures on social media. Do you know when you're seeing like these girls just snatching back, them pressures that I was watching them, and I'm actually really, really proud of every woman out there that's embracing their bodies and doing that, because people like me at that time would have really appreciated seeing more stuff like that, more inclusivity of stuff like that, because I was just worried. I was thinking, oh my God, like, you know, so I'm proud of all them women that have actually stood up and done that. It's amazing.
It's good you mentioned social media, because obviously that has a profound impact on, on your story, which of course we'll divulge into. So, okay, let's go to the day Azaylia is born. Talk us through that, your memories, you know.
The memory I had an epidural, which didn't work on me, which was like, yeah, okay, of course it wouldn't work on me. My pain threshold was like through the roof. I just remember gas and air, unplugging the gas and air because I was having that much. Ashley, the nurses, everybody was like, breathe. I was just like, and then the nurse unplugged my gas and air. And I remember like, I'm not stupid. I can tell that there's no gas and air. Ashley was taking the gas and air off me because I was not letting him sit down. He was literally by my side through the whole part. He was amazing, like where that's concerned. He was amazing. And then I got rushed down for an emergency C-section, and I can describe that as somebody in your stomach squishing around like a washing machine. That's what it felt like. I remember lying there, and like just my body just like lifting up as if like there was a crane holding me and I was getting like pulled up. It wasn't easy. I did not find it easy at all. But, you know, in my book, it goes into like way deeper detail, you know, like around, you know, Ashley, they wanted to put me to sleep in the end after. And, you know, I didn't want Ashley to miss his experience as a father for the first time of welcoming his daughter into the world. So I was there, pinned down. I was like, oh, and you know, because when you're on adrenaline and stuff like that, they were just, I wanted him to cut the umbilical cord. I wanted him to have that full experience, you know, and he got that. And I felt like, you know, that made me happy. You know, he welcomed Azaylia into the world, brought her over to me like, Saf, Azaylia's here, she's here. And I was just like that. I remember giving her a kiss, looking at her, thinking she's absolutely beautiful. And then literally just thinking, oh my gosh, I could just feel myself being sewn back together.
Thankfully, it's an experience I'll never have to have.
Yeah, I tell you what, like women deserve a lot of credit because what you put yourself through as a woman and your body and just the whole 9 months and delivering a baby is an extreme time to be, you know? And on the other hand as well, men that are experiencing the other side of it with emotional feelings, you know, hormones, all that kind of stuff. You know, I was actually like grafting. I was painting Azaylia's bedroom. I was doing everything. I was a full-on grafter. Yeah.
Oh, that's a testament to your character, Saf. Okay, so obviously, you know, the book will highlight a hell of a lot more. But what's some of your fondest memories with Azaylia? Obviously, from her being born to going back home and so on and so forth.
Yeah, my memories with Azaylia is I actually remember. I feel emotional. You know what happens? I go from that to then. Do you know when you ask a question, I'm like, I'm zoning on it.
Yeah, no, I know it's
everything, like everything for me. It's like remembering that, like when I seen her, I thought I need to be an adult. I need to be a responsible, grown-up adult. I looked at her and I thought she is the most precious jewel that has ever like come into my life. There's a feeling that I thought I loved. I thought I was in love and it knew all about love until she was in my arms. And I feel choked. The memories of her just, you know, her mouth moving, you know, babies, they're not doing a lot, are they? So it's just like, at first it's like, taking it all in, looking at her nose and looking at her eyes and what colour is she going to be and her eyes and her eyebrows and her fingers. And, you know, at first for me, it was like the memories of just soaking all of that in, motherhood for the first time. Yeah. That was like a moment that like I fully cherish and I'm grateful that I had that with her. Yeah.
I know it is one of those questions. Obviously, there's you like you said, everything there.
Yeah, it's like every single day. Even when I look back on pictures, I'm like, I'm so grateful. You know, like every moment. You know, we went and did a photo shoot. Me, Azaylia, my mom, Ashley came as well, and we did her first photo shoot where she was like wrapped in these little things. We dressed her up in a dressing gown, and she had a little ducks with her, and like wrapped in these little things with headbands on, and we created like a beautiful memory book for her for a baby. So like them times were good. And me and Ashley and my mum, my brother, my nephew, we all went to Drayton Manor. So she got to go to Drayton Manor as well. So from very early on, even though I had emergency C-section, I wanted to show Azaylia the world. I wanted her, you know, we was out just even putting her in the pram and taking her for a walk and getting a coffee, you know, all of them moments, and having the parties with the family after COVID and lockdown as well. You know, we weren't allowed to be with each other. So like just the family all coming together and just doing what families do. No,
that's and it's precious time, precious memories. When did you start noticing something wasn't right with Azaylia? What was the kind of the first telltale sign?
So for me, being the first time mum, it was something that was really strange because I've never experienced it before. So I've never experienced motherhood. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just rolling with the days. But I did notice, you know, she started getting a white tongue. Then I'd call the doctors and then they'd tell me, oh, it's thrush. It's normal in a baby, you know, so here's some drops. And then she was crying quite a bit. And, you know, holding her and bouncing her, it would like relieve her like any baby. Yeah. Do you know, like they kind of find that soothing. But after so long, that wasn't working anymore, to the point where it's like I was breastfeeding and then it was like, oh, shall I go onto the bottle? Maybe she's not getting enough. So that was what the doctor recommended. So then we gave her more milk, and that was like, that kind of chilled her out. Then it was only for like shorter periods that would work, and then she was crying again. And then we thought, oh, it could be colic. So then they give me colic. Then it has to get to, oh, it could be she needs gripe water, or, do you know, they was giving me everything. Then I noticed that she wasn't, I wasn't changing her nappy, like she was just literally weeing and that was it. And then they gave me constipation sachets to put in a bottle. So at this point, I'm thinking, wow, like, this is a lot. Like, this is what, like, I can't believe how much like babies have to go through. To a point where I changed her nappy and she'd got a tiny little bit of blood in her nappy, but I noticed this like mottling of the blood that was there. Sorry, the mottling of her skin and a little bit of blood in her nappy. So I rang the doctor straight away, and like, obviously, because I've got a medical background as well, and I just know the function of a body. I was just like, this don't seem normal. And they said, it's okay, she's a newborn again. So everything that I was being told was, it's because she's a newborn, to the point where I'm not like because I've got medical background and I'm pretty clinically like good with stuff, you know. I'm not like a panicking person either. So I just kind of think, oh, but when I see like signs like that, I'm like, I need to do the best for her. This is not me, this is for my daughter. He said, just monitor it. If it happens again, let us know. It happened again. So I took a picture and I sent it to them. Then they just said, monitor it again. So I was just like, okay, they don't seem concerned. So like, and I'm happy about that. They don't seem concerned. And again, one of them things, you know, that I don't know anything more about. And it got to a point one day where I changed her nappy, and as I changed her nappy, in her groin area, there was a bruise just there. And I'm thinking, you know how much you change a baby's nappy? Like, I'm OCD as well. So it's like, as soon as that line was going blue, I was just changing a nappy straight away. And changed a nappy, and I thought, oh, where's this bruise? But in my head, I thought, oh God, I bet somebody's like, because she likes to be bounced, I thought, I bet somebody's just kind of held her a little bit more tighter or a bit more firmer, and she's only like a newborn. Like, I thought, God, like, people need to be more gentle. But as I looked over at it, no, that's what I did first. I went to take a picture of her, because I'm just proud mom here. Yeah. Like, I'm just taking a picture of her having a nappy changed and like doing selfies. I've always kind of done all of that. And then I noticed the bruise. That's when I then thought, the bruise? And then I ran my finger over the bruise, which is background again, medical. And if there's a lump behind the bruise, that means that there's a problem within the system of the body. So I thought that's like an alarm bell. I thought that's not right, that ain't. And then I noticed, I was looking at her with my eyes. She looked normal, like her skin just looked normal. And then I was putting my phone above her and there was mottling on the skin. And I thought, and then I was like panicking then. I was thinking, to my eye, I can't see it, but through my phone, it's picking up something else. There's a lump behind that. Something's not right. So I'd messaged the, sent a picture, messaged the doctors, went to bed that night because it was quite late into the night when everything had closed. And then the next day, we was actually going, myself and Ashley, to, he had some work to do in Manchester, and then we were going to have a meal together. Do you know, like after going through lockdown, pregnancy and whatever, it was my mum's turn to look after Azaylia, because I always wanted from the start, the family, you know, like the grandmas and that, to feel like that they are a part of Azaylia's journey. You know, there's some mums out there that are like, you're not looking after them until they're a certain age. Like for me, I wanted them to have that relationship with Azaylia from early. So it was my mum's time the next day, and I'd gone and took Azaylia to my mum's house. She literally lived around the corner, and I was like, she's not very well at that time. She's got like thrush thing for her tongue. She's got to have that. She's got to have that. So like, I'm really like organised with everything. Mum, she needs this, this and this. But I'd said to my mum, I'd contacted the doctors and I'm waiting to hear back from them. And then I was worried. And then, you know, like, you know, when you're leaving your daughter with your mom, you're in safe hands. Yeah. And I was like, go, you two, just go and have some nice time together. Like, I'm good here. And I'm like, you know, my mom's brought me up. So it's just like, you know, you trust it, and you're thinking, okay, I don't want to be that person that's too, it could be nothing. And, you know, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. So I got to, I'd rang the doctors in the morning and spoke to the doctors, and I'd left my mum with Azaylia now. Me and Ashley got to Manchester and I got a phone call. I was in cosmetic couture actually at the time, and when I got a phone call to say from the doctor, you need to take your daughter to A&E, my heart just dropped to my stomach, I just thought, what do you mean take her to A&E? And I'm thinking, I'm in Manchester, like, and then you just get that mum guilt straight away. You're like, what the hell am I doing in Manchester? I just had this feeling, and like, why did I go? And then I rang Ashley because he was over the other side in Manchester, and I just said, like, we need to go, like, we've got to take Azaylia to, no, I didn't. I must have rang my mum. And I rang my mum to say, Mum, the doctors, like, I'm panicking now. The doctors are telling me we need to go to A&E. Unbeknown to me, when I took Azaylia around to my mum's, my mum had thought, she doesn't look right. Something's not right. So she just took her own instinct. We're a family like that as well, by the way. Some families aren't like that, but we are. Like, if my brother was to leave me with my nephew and I thought, oh, let me do that, there wouldn't be any problem, do you know? Like, so my mum had went and took Azaylia. No, she thought something wasn't right. So she called like 111 or something to like speak to them. They sent an ambulance to the house. So I didn't know any of this. And basically, they took her into A&E, and that's where her journey began. So, you know, then I'd rang Ashley, and then I was absolutely sobbing from Manchester all the way down to Coventry Walsgrave. So, you know, like, I'm just really grateful that my mom did take that time to use her own instinct to think, I'm just going to take her. Do you know, like, something, so she can ring me and say, oh, I know what my mum was like. She would ring me back if everything was okay and say, I've been and took her, done the checkup, blah, 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 blah. She's just that kind of person. Yeah. So, yeah. Then we got catapulted into A&E, yeah.
And I think, I mean, one thing I think we should just highlight, I'm sure most people remember this anyway, it was during the lockdowns and what have you, just obviously where you're referencing sending the photos to the doctor. obviously, you know, your mother's intuition there took her to A&E. Like you said, you then go through the next stages. What, obviously you touched on your thought process, you broke down. When did you kind of realise, or was it more or less straight away, that this is quite severe with Azaylia's case?
When I walked into A&E and she had about a good 12 like nurses in that room, and she was literally in like a clear, like a clear cot she was in. And I just remember like holding her hand, and she had to have her bloods taken from her hand. And at this point, like she hadn't had a dummy or nothing. And, you know, I'd had an emergency dummy in her bag, and I was just, when I knew that I was keeping her face busy for everything that was going on, and like, I just know, you know, like through injections and medical background, it's like, I know what's coming. I know what they're looking for. I know where they're tapping. I know where you need to be putting more pressure so it's less painful. When I started then acting immediately like a mom and a nurse, it was like, shit, like what's happening here? And I was just keeping her face busy and entertained, and I didn't want her to concentrate on the noise going around her. I knew what the hell's going on here. Yeah.
I mean, reading the book, obviously one thing that remained quite consistent with you is you try to remain as positive. And one of the things by doing that was kind of just cancelling out any sort of doctors. I know Ashley was kind of the one doing that, and you was just focusing, as you've said, keeping Azaylia busy. When did you finally come to sort of like accepting that it was a form of cancer?
I didn't. It was like, even now I've got this like blur in my head. It's a really bizarre way, because I know it's there, but accepting it is something I can't ever do.
No, apologies. That's probably my wrong choice of words.
No, like I'm actually like, for me, like it's like, you know, and this is why I do these podcasts as well, because, you know, like there's no right or wrong in this journey of question, you know, and I feel like for me, it's not about accepting it. It's about understanding that this is life. I think even now, like accepting it, I can't accept it because I don't think it's an acceptable thing to ever accept. It's more a case of understanding that this is what's happened, and yeah, it's absolutely horrific. Yeah,
I think what's obviously we'll sort of like flip flop a little bit here. I think obviously just going off the back of what you've said there, it's incredible that we've got people like you, because there's other people who go through this, but who obviously it's hard to, like you said, accept things, but they can take a level of inspiration from yourself, from Ashley, who are so open talking about it. And I think that's what, you know, certainly one of the main reasons I wanted to get you on the show, because I think there are, obviously we'll touch on the foundation and leukemia as a whole shortly, but I just think there's speaking about stuff is such a massive
it really
asset
is. And I tell you,
for those who like yourself.
Yeah, and I tell you why I continue, and I will always continue to do it, because I was once upon a time in that hospital room just feeling alone. It's like you're that alone that there's nothing or nobody that was on socials that I could relate to. Nobody. Even now when it comes to how am I figuring that out? Who do I look to? I don't even look to anybody. Do you know what? I just go so deep within myself, and it was Azaylia. It was Azaylia that was getting me through. It was Azaylia that was inspiring me. It was Azaylia that was teaching me strength, courage, and to show up. She did all of that work for me, and that's why now I, you know, even if I even if I was sat here just sobbing my heart out, I'd still want to speak and to continue to do it, because, you know, it really, really helps people. And I didn't realise it helped people as much. I was just candidly being me.
Yeah.
And to know it saved people's lives. And Azaylia is, you know, I've had women and men message me to say that they was going to take their own life, And through following Azaylia's journey, she's taught them that life is for a short time, so make the most of it. And to know that there's still people out here now that are living every single day because of Azaylia is a true, like, recognition of strength there.
No, 100%. And I think, you know, I've recently just lost my nan. I know she's lived a life to
but that's still,
it's
do you know
still
what?
grief though, isn't it? It's still people cope sort of diff.
It's really interesting that you say that, because there's so many people that I do meet that say, you know, just like yourself then, like, I lost my nan, and like, you know, like, I know she's lived her life, and you try and go, there's a thing what happens in society. Grief is a really difficult thing for people to talk about. It's hard to articulate. There's lots of feelings, there's lots of emotions, and there's lots of memories, you know, that are painful. So within families, it's difficult to talk about. It's difficult to even like voice them words. And, you know, people start saying, you know, move on. Oh, you know, come on, it's time to move on. Or they use the signature lines of, you know, they've lived a long life, or, you know, like, she's too good for this earth. And I tell you what, that shit, like, I said to you before I started, I rarely swear, but that shit really fucking frustrates me. That is my biggest thing that frustrates me. And I tell you what, because you are learning you're suppressing your feelings and emotions to make somebody else feel okay. It's because we get uncomfortable as humans to deal with big emotions when somebody's feeling, you know, you'll say, oh, don't cry. No, you need to cry, like cry, let it out. It's about understanding how we can actually communicate with each other when grief's happening, or when those stages are coming. Because although people have, like you say, your nan's passed away, it's like, okay, like, you need to feel them feelings. And it's like, yeah, she has, but it's just the words, you know, too good for earth. I hate all of that. It's like, that stuff just really...
I totally get it, because
you try and use words to comfort each other, when in fact it's actually a different vocabulary that needs to be broadened amongst each other to allow each other to truly know how to grieve. You know, when you look back to grandpa, you know, somebody passes away, right? Come on now, like, come on, everybody, get back to normal. Sorry, there's mental health. There's actual damage now that's done to the mind, the trauma, the memories. Even losing Azaylia, I've not only just lost my daughter, I've lost my future. So, you know, these are things like, you know, when you find a partner, or you get married, or you have a child, you know, these are like when you have got your grandparents, you're like, I feel choked. You want them to see you doing all of these things, you know? So for me, I always think that, like, grief is something that needs a broader, like, dynamic on it. We need a younger version. Like, we need a modern way in how we actually do look after and take care of each other. Because even down the line now, like, it's been a few years now since I've lost Azaylia, and, you know, I noticed on Azaylia's last anniversary how it fades off for certain people. You know, like, at the start they're there, can I do anything for you? Is there anything that I can do? To then looking at who's sending flowers now on her anniversary, who's coming down on her birthday, or who's bringing a little something. Do you know, I look after her garden really beautifully, and I notice, and this anniversary, like, I truly noticed. I'm like, oh, okay. Surprisingly, it's just like, this was the first year where I kind of got a bit of a kick to the stomach. Although I'll never ever stop, and it's always a mother's thing to always look after a child, whether she's here on earth or as an angel, then, you know, you feel them feelings and you notice, you know, it's not that people don't hold love still or whatever, but you just see them traditions that you've been doing, like, and you feel an ache inside and it hurts. And just because years are going on, it doesn't mean that pain does not feel any different. Even now, like, just getting up and doing the basic things, I have to put methods in place. And I also surround myself with a really small circle, you know, to help me with my mental health.
And it's, obviously, just listening to those, hanging on your every word, you can tell you're very passionate about what you're trying to put across here. Obviously, we're going to sort of, because I wanted to generate a bit of awareness with the childhood cancer and what have you. So kind of what I mentioned before, flip-flopping. Azaylia had...
Sorry, I love them chats anyway, when we flip-flop. I just feel like it's organic.
I feel
this
we
is
should
what
have
I
done
do.
a bit more, one of those type of podcasts.
Do you know,
yeah,
so. I just like it when we flip-flop through because it is, I like that word as well, flip-flop through. I like that because that's a genuine chat, isn't it?
It's like sitting around, your living room talking. Just to kind of... So Azaylia had a form of leukemia.
Yeah, she had AML, yeah.
So do you want to just give a brief overview to the listeners, what that is, who maybe are unaware, and how it affects the body?
Yeah, so AML, leukemia, is a blood cancer. So it's a very aggressive type of leukemia, and it is something that we need to really work together on making a big difference and a change. Childhood cancer is the biggest killer of children in the UK. It receives less than 3% of funding. Less than 3% of funding looks like GPs not getting the training that they need. Less than 3%, it means that there's been no improvement since the 1970s. Wow. Less than 3% means fewer and fewer students are actually going into childhood cancer because there's not funding, and the list goes on, to the point where children are actually having, like Azaylia, adult chemotherapy that ends up affecting their bodies, not even if they're in that chance where they end up surviving, they've ended up with lots of mental and physical damage to them. So, for us coming together and making that difference, although we create all of the awareness, it's also really important for us to be making a significant impact. So we have now donated over 1.1 million into childhood cancer research. We are on our 5th PhD. We've got an Azaylia PhD program, and that's to help medics, go into a field so they can really fulfill their passions. Our aim is in the next 5 years to get 20 PhDs through. So we're at a point now where we're really proud of how much of an impact that we're making. And I also do a Wear Orange for Azaylia. That is a non-uniform day throughout the country. It's where I go in and talk about kindness, mutual support and inclusivity. And it's about raising that awareness and raising the funds to be able to help make a change. And, for me, it's not about going into schools and talking about cancer. I go into the schools because there's so much change that we need in our schools across the UK that we feel like we hear it's being spoken about. But I went and did 100 Heroes at Birmingham Children's Hospital, and there was a girl, bless her, she's such an inspiration. She was burnt from head to toe. She's in a wheelchair. She'd gone back into mainstream school. There was playing PE. She was left to the side because she wasn't able to play PE. Now, if I was a teacher and doing PE, I would be using a couple of the students that are in the class to play ball with her or include her in some way. So there's still so much improvement that needs to be made within the schools in the UK. And I do beautiful assemblies with them where we do Q&As, we do sing songs together. They have a great day of doing arts and crafts. They just have such a beautiful day about being kind and sharing their light with each other. There's so many children in schools that are from different backgrounds. You really see, the pain that goes through my heart when I see the neglect in some of these children throughout the schools. It's heart-wrenching for me. But if there's one thing that they remember is they've had a great day today, I've put a smile on their face, and children supporting children, It's beautiful to see. I know when I'm there, I know what's going on in the background. So I look at this and I think they're singing a song, they're doing all this beautiful stuff, and it's them children are supporting, in my head, them children that are in hospital. Yeah. And it's learning and teaching the new generation and inspiring them, go and do the Wear Orange and talk about STEM. In schools, we're now taking Oxford University students into the schools and inspiring the the younger generation.
No, it's incredible what you're doing. It really is. you know, it's amazing. And it tipped me ass off. Can I just, when you touched on the photo where you got your cap and gown, was that where you was mentioning your PhD?
Oh,
was that,
no, that's not right. So that's what we do for the foundation. We've got an Azaylia PhD program. Myself and Ashley got a honorary degree at Coventry University. That was because of the impact that we've made across our country and how much change we've made and are making. I always say Azaylia's making, you know, it's because of her. And yeah, it was such an honour. Like, I never thought in a million years, from my roots of where I came from, to walking down and getting an honorary degree in honour of my hero, my daughter, was just like, I know why I'm here on this earth now.
Yeah. No, it's, and obviously to go back to, we referenced social media earlier on, so again we're doing that whole flip flop. What was kind of like the initial with social media, kind of like work? Because am I right in thinking Ashley wanted to post it, you was a bit apprehensive at first?
Yeah.
So how did he win you over with that? And thankfully he did, because this is how we're here now. But go on, talk us through that moment.
Yeah, I remember the moment. For him, he come to me and said he just wanted to post it because for him there was so many people that was trying to get at him for work, and his head must have just been blown, obviously. And it's easy sometimes. I put it on your social media, everybody knows about it. So if you're trying to get hold of me, you got work going on, whatever it is, it's just like, this is why I'm not responding, because this is what's happening. For me, I was just like, no, at first, because I just thought, no, we're only going to be here for a week.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be doing all of that. Like, do you know, like it was my head where it was just like, you know, when something happens in a family and you're just like, do you know what? Like, let's get through it and it's be fine. And then we'll talk about it after, like, if you want to talk about it. It's kind of my feeling. I didn't think it was going to be. I think I was just still in shock, trauma, disbelief of what was actually happening. I just thought, no, we'll tell everybody after. Like, we don't need to. I was scared. I was frightened. I was thinking, do you know when you're making something real, by saying it, it was like it was making it real. And I think that was why.
Yeah, I asked that, obviously, you know, referencing me now, because I was a bit sort of, I don't know why I had these feelings, but it was kind of like, do I really want to, are people going to think I'm just posting this for attention sort of thing? But then I thought, I'm going to dismiss that thought process.
Oh, no. Yeah.
You know, it was a genuine sort of thought. So I totally get that. And obviously the profound impact it had later on, because one of the Azaylia needed treatment, didn't she? Where it was a specific stem
she
cell.
she needed a donor. Yeah.
So obviously the profound impact social media had sharing Azaylia's story. One of the key things was the treatments, the stem cell treatments. Obviously, social media played a huge part because you got so many donors for that. Do you want to just elaborate and tell us that story, Saf?
Yeah, it was really, really surreal, because knowing that you've got nurses and doctors in your room saying that we need to find a match for your daughter and we could potentially not have one, was one of the most frightening things to know, that because of our ethnic background, that could be a problem. Now, we put a massive plea out there for people to join Anthony Nolan and DKMS, to take a swab. It's just literally a swab inside your mouth, pop it in an envelope, register and sign up to be a potential, life-saving donor. And Azaylia had got over 80,000 people on the register in one weekend.
Wow. She
is the highest of the highest that have really, really been able to make an impactful reach. And, you know, it's been able to help save other people's lives as well. So to get that many people on a bone marrow register has really been able to help so many other people and ethnic backgrounds as well. There's so many people out there that genuinely, like, one thing that I will say, if there's anything that anybody wants to do, is to register and sign up to either Anthony Nolan or DKMS, because you can give somebody a chance at life again.
And we'll put all the links to everything we reference in this podcast, and obviously the description. So obviously we touched on the profound impact sharing the story had, obviously with all the donations for the stem cell, but you also had a lot of love and support, not just on social media, but across the world essentially. When did you? I know you was focused on Azaylia, but when did the kind of like the penny drop where you realised, wow, the impact this is having on everybody?
The penny dropped for me when we was getting significant numbers coming through the bone marrow register, and I was getting messages, I've signed up, I've registered, I've signed up, I've registered, I've signed up, I've registered. Because before that, I knew there was love there, you know, like Azaylia was showing so much strength and inspiring so many people that are already going through a difficult time to, to make different changes in their life. And at this point, when I truly seen people supporting, was when we needed people. When we needed people to save our daughter's life, you know, and be a potential match. That really, really hit home, especially when that doctor and the specialist had come through the door and said that they've got potential matches, because the way your heart is racing and racing before each appointment was just unbelievable. And I'm so grateful for each person that did register and sign up, because, you know, not only for Azaylia, but for so many other people that are really fighting for their life, it makes a big difference to them.
Yeah, no, quite right. You did eventually get a match for Azaylia. So do you want to talk us through, obviously, the day that got announced, and then also what the next steps were in terms of getting the treatments?
Yeah, so when we got called to a meeting, it was to basically give us some news, you know, like when you're in hospital and you're getting results and everything's going on, you're getting 5 pieces of bad news, 1 piece of good news, 5 pieces of bad news. So you're wavering constantly, and your anxiety and your body is just always tense and then relaxed and tense again. So for us going into that meeting, it was really, really a positive outcome. And we actually had an umbilical cord, which, again, if there is women out there that are pregnant and do want to donate their umbilical cord, are looking into doing that, because it's something that, again, you know, you actually don't realise that the cells on the umbilical cord, they get frozen. And in cases like mine, they came really, really useful. So we got an umbilical cord, and Azaylia then had to go through another round of chemotherapy that absolutely wiped her body to zero. And then they give you the cells, which went through a central line. I actually thought it was like an operation, but it's actually through a central line. It was a syringe of all of the umbilical cord cells, and then they just get syringed slowly through a central line, and then you have to start. It's like, I kind of explain it as an empty. If you could just imagine your body as being empty, it's like the chemotherapy makes it all empty, and then you get like a new cell. So it's like a new engine that's going now into the emptiness, and now the body's got to start receiving everything. And at this point is one of the most crucial stages. We had to go into full isolation. And that meant clothes being changed. So anything, because me and Ashley were just staying over the road from the hospital, you couldn't wear the clothes that you was in the hospital. Even if you woke up in the morning and you showered and you put fresh clothes on, as soon as you hit the atmosphere, them clothes are dirty. That's what it's classed as. So we had to go through, and there was like cubicles that you had to get changed through, make sure you're fully washed, steriled, everything before I would even touch Azaylia. So, I mean, I got to a point where I was obsessively cleaning. They'd send cleaners in the hospital to clean, but obviously Azaylia being a baby, if she took the dummy out, I might have had to pop to the loo. The nurse might be in that room for 2 seconds. She could pick that dummy up and give it to my baby. And there could be bacteria, which probably, because you're walking on the floor, and put it into her. And because she's got no immunity, then that could cause something. That could cause her to have a reaction or something. So I was there with the Clinell wipes, and me and head to toe, everywhere was sterile. When nurses were coming through the room, I mean, they was like fully prepped. But I was just like a new glove or something happened. I was now at this point where I was hyper, because it's like no human, or we're not doing no human errors here. And I was literally on that ball 24/7. Soon as she put something in her mouth and it was on the side, it would get wiped, it would get sterile before it goes back in her mouth. Everything would be in like sanitizing packets. And it's just, yeah.
Obviously, reading the book, it kind of, you're emphasised on sort of like the obsessive compulsiveness, and rightly so, your mother, it's your daughter. Once she'd had the treatments, Azaylia had the treatments, was there signs that everything was okay to start off with, and then obviously it took a bit of a sour turn?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, so she went through, she engrafted as well. So she ended up becoming 100% donor, which is unbelievable. And having that news, to know we'd gone through a big stage where she'd cleared her body of all the chemo and now she's engrafted, to get that news that she's engrafted to a donor is like, yes, she's done it. Like, and I remember the nurses, the doctors, they're coming in, they're like, yeah, we're going to hit this stage, and, I'm like, no, she'll be okay. She's got this. She's got this. She's got this. And then when we got that news, it was just like, yes, like that was just like, through our family chats and everything, everyone was like, yes, she's got there, she's engrafted. Because once the cells engraft, it's like having a new engine again. So it's just like, we're up and we're running, like we're good. Like she's got the new engine, so the cancer can't be finding its way in now, because we've got the new engine. She's been cleared, she's engrafted, it's all new. So it's that excitement then to be like, yes. Then we got released and we got to go out. We got to go home. We got to spend a bit of time together as a family, which was so precious. I mean, no family was obviously on the outside allowed to come in, but it was like lockdown, like rules, like strict lockdown rules. Even opening windows, for me, it was like, you can't open the windows if you've got one of your neighbours building up over the road from you, because the particles could come through the house, could get on her chest. So it was really, really, really difficult for us. But yeah, we went to go and ring the bell, and ringing the bell means you've fought cancer. And we was in that hospital. It was like the first time Azaylia was in a cute little outfit. Ashley had got changed properly. I'd got changed properly. It's kind of like attending like an award thing. Like, it's a really special day for us. We'd made an effort. I'd curled my hair, just the things where I'd been annihilated through how. I'm like, we're all proud little family now. She's going to ring the bell. She's there. 10 minutes before we went to ring the bell, we had one of our oncologist members of the team that came in, one of the oncologist specialists, and she basically told us in a nutshell that it's come back. She's relapsed. So we had the family that was all waiting, to give her a clap. All the wards would line up the corridors. I feel emotional with this bit. To clap for her. It's like a graduation day. You've just overcome the worst thing that you could possibly overcome. And we sat in the room. Myself, Ashley, and Azaylia was in the cot just playing, and we was just like, we're going home. We can't even process. We've had such an exciting morning. We need to get out of here. Just want to go and hide in our bubble now. And then we looked at Azaylia, and we both decided that, you know, she did beat it. You know, she's obviously, we got the news that she relapsed, but like, let's celebrate like the milestones in which she's hit. So then we went down, we did the walk, and we rang the bell. And, you know, I'm really, really grateful that we actually did go and do that. It's like anything, you know, at this point we were so used to having so much bad news coming our way that any little win that we had, we wanted to do it for Azaylia. Like, she deserved that. She deserved to ring the bell. And every day I would go up to that ward, I would look at that bell, and I'd be like, I'm coming for you. We're going to ring that bell. I was visualising it, law of attraction, just really, really manifesting, ringing that bell, and she got to do it. So I'm really proud that of her for that.
Oh, it's amazing, you know,
Yeah.
a phenomenal thing. And like you said, at one point she did beat it. You know,
Yeah.
it did, as you said, the stem cells treatment did work. It's just obviously she relapsed, so she had every right to ring that bell as far as anyone's concerned. So obviously you've got that news, and the doctors tell you there's no real more treatments that they can offer in the UK, and obviously advise end of life care, take her home. But you'd stumbled across, was it you guys who stumbled across this, or did someone got in touch and said you could go to Singapore? Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, she's got such a special part in my heart, honestly, that when I felt defeated, I mean defeated, you know, there's so much as well that's like in my book that explains like all the obstacles that we was going through to get certain treatments. But this woman, it was like, she was like a goddess that came to my rescue. I needed her. It was everybody that I trusted around me. It was like, I felt like that. And then I suddenly felt like there's nobody. Like nobody, like they're all telling me to go home and take my daughter home. Like, what the hell? She literally got in contact with me on social. I think I don't even know where, like maybe social media. I'm sure it must have been social media. And she'd said to me and explained her story. Her name's Olivia and her son is Oscar. And she also got that news to take her son home. And she fought it and she fought it, and she got treatment in Singapore, and her son is still here today. And yeah, we still have a relationship. And you know, her son does face obstacles and challenges. However, you know, he's still there, and you know, managed to go back into mainstream school as well. So you know, she fought really hard, and she gave me a backbone that I didn't have at that moment. You know, she came to the hospital. We social distanced, and we had a conversation, and she was there giving me the surgeons, the whole book of everything that she fought so hard for her son for. She gave it to me, and she stood by me, and she gave me that backbone that I didn't have, and I'm forever grateful to her. She put us in touch. We managed to find a surgeon, a guy in Singapore, and yeah, they ended up communicating and liaising with our team at Birmingham Children's Hospital, which, let me say, they really and truly looked after us incredibly good. I'm forever grateful to them as well. But you know, there's only so much certain hospitals and treatments that they can give us. So yeah, Olivia really like plugged us there, to the point where everything was accepted. Azaylia's bloods got sent over to Singapore. There's certain markers that are on your bloods. And rather than going into too much scientific detail, they had the treatment over there that that could treat Azaylia's markers that she had on her. So yeah, they was like, right, we got an emergency passport done for Azaylia. Obviously she didn't have a passport. She was only 8 weeks when we got catapulted into hospital. And so we got an emergency passport made for her. We had everything set up. And then all these conversations were going ahead for a good while before we knew that it was going to take place. Next minute, it's like you come in with these big bills. I mean, it's horrific. Like when you're under that much stress and that much pressure to be told that you need to be raising, like sometimes these treatments are, like starting costs could be at $500,000. We're talking, we need care as we're traveling. You need all of the stuff, basically abroad. All the treatment, everything costs so much because we've got the NHS here. We actually don't really truly understand how much this truly costs to do. So yeah, we ended up doing a GoFundMe, and within 3 hours, Azaylia is just so incredible. She raised over £1 million within 3 hours. Wow. So that then I remember getting the phone call from Ashley because he was at, I was in the hospital with Azaylia at that time. And I remember him ringing to say, we're on $1 million. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't the money. And this is what stems back from my childhood now. It wasn't the money. It was the freedom knowing that my daughter could be saved. I'm so grateful for each person that gave £1, 50p, £5, £100. People were doing and raising significant amount of money to really, really help us, and to understand and have that pressure being taken off you as a parent to know, right, okay, I don't no longer have to concentrate on the money. I can just now get everything together. We was having to, contact people to get the passports and all this kind of stuff. It was hectic that was going on in the background. So it was just a really, really nice relief that I didn't have to think about not having that option to take her abroad.
Yeah, I'm glad you've really. I was going to relay that, but you'd already done it with the start with regards to the money. But again, testament to the profound impacts that this story and Azaylia had with everyone. The fact that you raised £1 million in 3 hours. I'm an avid fundraiser, and over 5 years, I've probably raised over £100,000. So just to put a bit of context on that.
Well, that's amazing what you're doing. So.
I appreciate it, but it's an incredible feat. What was, because you got all the preparations sorted, and then I know it was during COVID as well. What was the news that you couldn't travel, or had the cancer deteriorated and gotten worse?
So with blood cancer, it can spike like that. One day it can be balanced, the next day it could be catapulting through, and that's the thing with cancer. Do you know, like it's so aggressive that every day Azaylia was having her bloods taken, so like to check everything, and everything was okay. We got a knock at our door, and our oncologist came through, Sarah Lawson, Birmingham Children's Hospital, amazing woman. She came through with tears in her eyes, and it's like you're looking at somebody, sorry, I'm just picturing that moment, and it was like she walked in and her eyes are just like heavy. She got tears in her eyes, and it was just like defeated, like a defeated look, because I mean, more than ever, like even though we couldn't get treatment here at Birmingham Children's Hospital, they was rooting so deep for us, honestly. So, and to know that we could potentially have another go at life for Azaylia in Singapore, like everybody was behind her, and she came in and she was just heartbroken. She delivered that news. Azaylia was asleep, actually. And it's so strange with Azaylia, because at certain moments things were going on. I'm just like how do you know that you need to be asleep right now? She always made it so easy for me. And yeah, me and Ashley were just like, I remember just like falling to the floor. And then it was like understanding, right, what do we do now? So you get that news, and then it's like, you look over your baby, and she's just a baby. And you're like, how on earth? Like, you know, one thing is not having to explain it to a child, you know, she's so young. So not having to have that conversation was probably more gentler in terms of if you could be any gentle in the moments. But it was the most numbest feeling that I've ever felt in my life. We'd just gone through all of that adrenaline for the past 6 months, up, down, so many knocks, like everything. It was just like my nervous system was absolutely shattered. And I just remember looking at Ashley and just, do you know when you just look at each of her and you're just like, what, like, what's the next fight? We've been told no 1,000,000 times. We've been told this 1,000,000,000,000 times through this 6 months. We've been told this message. We're used to getting back up and we're fighting again. And it was like, do you know when you're always looking for solutions? Like I say, from a child and a challenge, I don't look for problems, I look for solutions. In that moment, my head was just clutching at everything to get a solution, and there wasn't one. And to accept a defeat in this battle and to look at your child and think, oh, it's like painful, like so painful. But again, you know, like when Azaylia was awake, never did I want her to see a sad face, never want her to see me cry. So it was always like, as soon as she's awake, whatever we just got told, it was just like it didn't exist. And that's the way me and Ashley coped. And I'm really grateful that we were both on the same page like that, because, you know, as soon as she was awake again, we was playing and taking everything over and trying to manage that situation of that news, and then your baby then waking up and you want to hold them and cry. You want to hold them so tight. But it was like, right, we're doing the most now. We're going to do that. We had a team come in. They started taking castings. And for me, like, seeing all of this stuff was now heavy. There was then wanting conversations of end-of-life care and all of this stuff being told. And I'm like it's noise. It's now becoming noise. You're all talking at me and I just want you all to stop it. It got to that point. And then we was allowed to have family come in. They told us, you know, she could pass away that evening. Like they didn't know. So we stayed in hospital. All the family came. And, you know, everybody was like, looking back on the pictures, you're thinking you're holding it together the best you can, but looking at them pictures and videos now, I'm like, oh my God, like I look how I feel. But still everyone would be holding her, but it was beautiful to us because the family haven't been able to like touch and hold her for so long. So like to see my nephew, my brother, oh gosh. To see my nephew, to see my brother, to see my mum, to see Ashley's mum and the family, and us all just be in one room together was so special. And it's something, you know, we got sent home on end of life. You know, for me it was like Satan walking through the door when what are they called again now? The end of life palliative care coming there explaining everything. You know, for me, I asked a question which I never wanted to ask, and that was, how will I know? Like, what am I looking for now? What am I looking for in this? Like, how will I know, you know, she's towards the end? Because, you know, like just asking that question is like, I'm now asking the defeated questions. You know, they said like her bowels will stop working. So now, you know, she'll end up doing nappies that are like, it's white. You know, she could potentially bleed to death. It makes me feel sick to even say that. What happens with blood cancer is it comes out of the, when she was crying or upset, then she was crying blood. That's what was happening. For me and the journey that me and Ashley have been on, we understood what we needed to do. We were back in that car. We were back in Birmingham Children's Hospital, and we was getting platelets. Platelets clot the blood. Do you know, like when you bleed, it just bleeds, and then you get the scab, and that's actually, and it goes yellowy. That's platelets in the body that causes the scab, so we don't just bleed out. So basically, we was back in the car, big tank of oxygen to get her. I didn't want her to cry blood. You know, get her the platelets. So still till the last second, she had the best of what I could give her, basically.
Yeah. Obviously, thanks so much for sharing that. You can see that, you know, it's a very powerful story, and it's inspiring listening to you, Saf. And I know that's cliche, you probably get that all the time, but it really is. Obviously, I touched on there earlier on with Nan passing away, and it's tough. Grief is something that unfortunately we all have to go through, but you never think as a parent that you would have to go through that. So it's, you know, I have nothing but love and admiration for you sharing that. I really do. We'll try and put a bit of a positive as best we can.
Let's
Going
spin
back
this.
to
That's the thing with me, do you know, like, and this is the beauty of realness and rawness, is that, you know what, 1 minute you can cry, next minute you can laugh, next minute you can be frustrated. That's real life, real raw feelings and emotions, isn't it? Do you know?
Yeah,
so let's bring it back round.
So obviously we'll have to sort of touch on, you know, the support, the donations, obviously the messages, the social media impact. I think I remember at the time, because I admittedly I only kind of came to this story as it was happening towards the end, and one thing that I always remember is all these landmarks that were being lit up orange, which of course is the colour for leukemia. Is it leukemia? Cancer? But it wasn't just like, you weren't just getting landmarks in your hometowns, you were getting it all across the country. I think, you know, the London Eye was lit up. Obviously, you know, Radio City, Liverpool, sort of near where I live.
Niagara Falls,
yeah. I was coming to that one. And the CNN Tower as well. So it was amazing just to see the impact that this had. And, you know, even though it was such a heartbreaking story that happened to Azaylia, it happened during a time when the world was in such turmoil. And I think it was just a great example of humanity sort of rallying together to show the love and show the support. And that, you know, despite everything that was going on, that must have been great for you to see and certainly look back on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say to look back on at that time when things were happening, it was very surreal to hear. But I've got my little girl in my arms, wondering when she's going to take her last breath. Yeah. So for me, I couldn't digest what was going on, but I truly felt the love, and I felt wrapped in love and support from each and every person. I can only explain it like that. I mean, now looking back and looking into it, and actually truly my brain actually working and functioning is mind-blowing. It mind blows me to think, wow, like, that's my daughter. No wonder she's my hero. No wonder I'm so brave. No wonder I'm so strong. No wonder I'm so resilient, because she has lit the whole world up in orange. It was just incredible. Yeah. Even when she passed away, the orange skies, the crazy vibrant rainbows that I was getting was just like phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It was something that I'm just grateful for each person doing, because you know what? That truly shown humanity, and so many people were struggling at that time. And Azaylia's journey has actually been able to bring people back together, and to witness that and to see everything and all the monuments light up orange was just powerful. That's what you call power. Yeah. And then she gave us a big, powerful skies back to say thank you. That's in my beliefs.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously, you know, whenever I see a sunset now, or, you know, the sky being orange, I do immediately think it was and even though I don't hold any sort of, you know, the connection that, of course, you, Ashley, and the family do, it still always resonates. It's still always something that I see and I can associate and attribute that. And that's because of the impact that she had on the world. Obviously, I mean, we touched on, the grief aspect earlier on. So obviously, of course, you grieved, but then you found a purpose again. Despite Azaylia now being an angel, do you want to just talk us through what that purpose was, how you came to discover that?
This is the part that fills me with fuel right now. Like this chapter in my life is like a chapter that I never seen coming for me. After losing Azaylia, all you can see is darkness, depression, anxiety, not being able to get out the house, not being able to go to do the most basic things. I used to sit in a car for like a good hour before I could get in a supermarket because it was just facing baby things, people being pregnant, comments, conversations. Like I wasn't ready for any of that and I just found it too overwhelming. The power that's pulled me through is honestly Azaylia. Like she has truly made me understand what life is. She's made me understand the value of money, which is zero. The value to money is zero. And that's where it goes back to my childhood. Understanding the validation of me and who I thought and felt like I needed to be to where I am now. And even to a point where I purposely don't go and do things, even like a car, like it's just to a point where like there's this thing at the minute, like with my car, as much as I really want a new car, for me, I'm like all my life I've upgraded my cars to get validation. Mm-hmm. My car that I've got at the moment, I had to get that quickly and turn my TT in to get a back seat for Azaylia. So she could put a car seat in because it was in lockdown. So I had to change the car quickly. And I'm like, I've got this like sentimental hold on to these things because for me, always understanding that I needed to be validated on the outside has now changed. For me, it's about the internal work. I've spent so much time having therapy, understanding who I truly am, understanding my boundaries within relationships. That's not just your partner, that's people, that's family, that's work, even though I have no boundaries to work because I absolutely love working. But for me, it's about really and truly using my journey to inspire people, to show them that there is light. And I haven't had anybody to look up to other than my daughter. And she's got me to this point. And I want to be something and somebody for people to know that through the dark, no matter what you're going through, find your purpose. My purpose is helping children, supporting families and making a difference within childhood cancer, as well as, find that was... I didn't have no purpose. So for me, that is what's fueled me. That's got me to a point where I'm now, just at this point, I'm like on my feet, I've had to rebuild myself from scratch. That looks like, my house again, my home, everything, and rebuilding and knitting back slowly but surely these things back together. And I'm now at a point where I truly know who I am from the inside. And there isn't nothing or nobody that can rock me. Now I'm just working on the outside again, because for me, it's all changed. Yeah. It's now working inside out. The beauty from a person is from within. It doesn't matter. I don't feel validated anymore for what I have or if I've got the latest car or got a house like that or the latest interior or the latest shoes. I mean, them things are always still really nice to have, don't get me wrong, but that's not validating me as a person. Now I'm validated for what comes out my mouth and how I can really make somebody feel like that they're enough.
That's right. I love that you keep references to the start because that's normally my job. So you're doing that for me. So no, that's brilliant. But no, obviously, again, it's inspiring everything you do, everything you're giving back, and obviously one of the big things is the Azaylia Foundation.
Absolutely.
So do you want to talk us about how that was set up? Was that set up through the funds that had been raised
Yeah.
and moved?
Yeah.
God, I'll let you tell
Yeah,
it.
it's really, really beautiful because there is a certain point when you do give to a GoFundMe that you can actually withdraw at any time, like from the GoFundMe. So that was always an option. We left that open for quite some time, actually, just in case anybody did want to, take anything back that they'd donated. We then come to a decision that we wanted to start a charity because we believe that we need to help. We know that pain too well. We need to help. We need to give back. And that was just a no-brainer for myself and Ashley. And thankfully, we're always on the same page in that area. And to continue Azaylia's legacy, we put all of that into the foundation. And now that's why we are at a point, where we have donated over 1.1 million now, and we are still climbing and still achieving as much as we can, and it's so important to know that this is Azaylia's, right? But more importantly, it's about the community. It's about the people and the people that truly support us and are behind us. And it's not now I can be the voice, right? But it's the people and the appreciation and the love that I have for each person that really, really backs the Azaylia Foundation, because it really, truly has and is still and going to be making a huge difference for them children.
No, I completely agree. And, fair play how much you've raised already, and the awareness is.
And you have
there.
to keep doing that as well. Like for us, it's like, you look at, you could donate it over there, or you could donate it to two causes. But for us, it's about longevity. It's about really, truly making a difference in this system where what hasn't been improved since the 1970s. So for us, it's the long-term goal. I want this to be going on beyond my years.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about really making sure that we have a foundation with good structure and good goals, and we're absolutely smashing them. But that's because of the people as well. It's not just myself and Ashley. We've got an incredible team that is behind us. Our CEO, Christian, that works incredibly hard to really commit and his time, his energy, but most of all his passion and his love for the foundation. He really built a great internal team amongst all the universities and the medical field.
Yeah. And obviously, as we've said several times on this podcast, we'll put all links to the foundation. And do people, if they want to get in touch and maybe do a fundraiser, or do they just do that through the website? Do they all get in touch with Christian? Is it as easy?
No,
as...
so leave our CEO alone. He's absolutely stacked. We've got our social manager, community manager. We have, and she's incredible. She really does manage the foundation just so beautifully. She's all arranged and done everything on our socials. So you can go to the link in our bio. You'll see everything there. You've got things from Wear Orange for Azaylia, how you want to do fundraisers, and you just contact the foundation like that. She's incredibly fast and very responsive as well. So yeah, very efficient.
Brilliant.
What we love.
I suppose I've only really got two final questions. So the first one would be, what advice could you, so if this puts you on the spot, but what kind of advice from your own lived experience, or even, something you could just pass on to someone who may be listening to this, who's going through a similar tough time as yourself as a parent, or maybe it could just be someone who's suffering tremendous grief. I know you've kind of been doing that throughout the podcast, but if you could kind of hone in and just advise, what sort of, I don't want to use a cliche sort of life is for living scenario, but that kind of thing.
Like
summarising
like mental health and well-being is very, very broad, but I feel like I fluidly talk about it so openly. So there's one thing that I'll always say, and that is don't give up. Yeah. Like, you are precious, you are enough, and you are here for a reason. And even though them darkest times can feel so dark to you, God has a plan. Even though that plan may not be serving you right just right now, you will look back and understand why you're here. We've all got a purpose on this earth. It could just be to shed light in somebody else's life. It could be to serve different things, but it's just to never, ever give up and to always believe in yourself, no matter what. I've always looked on the outside for validation from people, and the place where I found it is within me as a person. It's been dark, it's been lonely, it's been tough, but I tell you one thing, you find your best version of yourself in the dark.
Yeah. No, that's advice I'll take on board as well. And I suppose the final sort of question is, what's next for you, Saf? Have you got anything? Have you got any spoiler alerts, or have you got any ambitions for the rest of 2024 heading into 25?
Yeah, so for me, there's always ambitions. That's through and through. That's in my blood. That's in my DNA. For me, it's always primary concentrating on the Azaylia Foundation, making sure that we're really hitting all of our targets, excelling and developing through the medical research of what we're doing. So that's ongoing there. There is different things that are coming up. Little spoiler, we're doing charity partnerships at the minute. So that's just in writing. I don't know when this podcast is getting released, but my CEO can tell me off later. But yeah, we are doing charity partnerships. So if you are a business and you do want to get involved and support a charity and make a difference to these children's lives, then you can come on board as a business now with the Azaylia Foundation. And then also personally, it's just great. I'm growing. I'm excited. What I promised myself this year was, I was in a really dark place in January, obviously. You know, it was a tough time for me in January with everything, with, you know, Ashley's new welcome into the world for his child. You know, difficult pills for me to like swallow and get used to. And, you know, one thing I promised myself in January was it's time to take my power back. Yeah. It's time to show up, and it's time to say yes to everything. I've said no for things for so long. That's just even socializing, going out, having social anxiety. I mean, I've absolutely kicked the shit out of that. I mean, I have days where it's dark and it's heavy still. I have one good day, I embrace it. I have a bad day, I sit there with it. It is what it is. But my primary thing is showing up. I'm a workaholic. I love it. I work with so many incredible brands. I just really have so much passion with really, truly inspiring people to take care of themselves, you know. That's like on the visual, on the outside now. I feel like we're forever working on our inside. For me, it's a visual thing now. It's about the outside. You know, I'm starting to do my hair more, like take care of and do my makeup, get changed properly. I know that seems so basic. It's just even not wearing sluggy, slouchy outfits, you know, just really taking pride in myself. That's what this year is for me. Taking pride and putting myself first and actually showing people that they can do it too. That's always my thing. I want to show you, get up, take 10 minutes on your hair, put 15 minutes aside to do your makeup, and, you know, really feel good about yourself. Don't do it for anybody else. You know, look in that mirror and think, you know, it looks a bit brighter today. I look a bit happier. I've got the lipstick on. I've got the hair's good. And it's like thinking, right, I'm going to challenge today, and whatever comes my way, guess what? I'm always happy for a challenge. So we got this.
Fantastic. Saf, it's been an absolute pleasure, honour. You're such an inspiring, incredible person, you know, mother, businesswoman, everything. I could be complimenting you all day. But no, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And I know, certainly I know the listeners definitely will have done. We'll take something away from this. So
thank you for having me as well. Like, you know, sometimes it's really difficult to, you know, come onto a platform and speak and be open, and you know, it's really lovely that you've made me feel really comfortable to be able to do that as well, because it isn't easy. So all props to you as well, you know, for making me, and I'm sure all of your guests, feel really comfortable. Just the questions you ask, you know, the mindfulness that you've got around your podcast is just incredible. So keep being amazing. You're a great guy.
If you could leave that in the YouTube comments, that'd be great. No, but thanks very much. Massively appreciated. And just as an FYI, this will probably go out. So it's July now. This will go out around early August time.
Okay.
So, yeah. I've been Nadia Lodges. This has, of course, been Safiyya Vorajee, and you've been listening to the HodgeCast podcast. Take it easy.
Let's go, champs.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we believe you can definitely take something away from today's guest. We couldn't attract guests such as this without a solid fan base. The best way we can grow this is through subscriptions. So, if you haven't already done so, can I please ask that you hit that subscribe button and help us continue to put out content for you all to enjoy. Until next time.